LeaderCast.
Hi, and welcome to Deep Leadership. I'm your host, John Rennie. Well, I hope all is well with you today. This is another special Wednesday morning episode brought to you by our sponsors, Jeremy Clevenger Fitness and the Sasquatch Flag Company. Both of these sponsors help me bring these shows to you each and every week, so I encourage you to click on the links below and check them out. I have another great show lined up for you today, but before we get started, I just want to remind you to check out the leadership books I've written on either Amazon or my website, johnsrennie.com. This year, I'm offering a new way to purchase all of my books for a discount. I've bundled the books into what I call the Qualified Watchstander series, and you get all 3 books for 15% off the individual prices. This offer is only available on my website, so check it out if you're looking to step up your leadership game in 2023. Also, I wanted to remind you that Deep Leadership is now ranked as a top 100 management podcast in the U.S. I wanted to thank each and every one of you for listening in each week and sharing these episodes with your friends. You have helped this podcast grow into a top-performing show, so thank you very much. Well, that is it. Today we're going to be talking about mastering change, and I am honored to have Dr. Ichak Adizes as my guest. Dr. Adizes has written 28 books that have been translated into 36 languages, and he is the leading expert in organizational transformation, and he joins us today to talk about how we can master change as leaders. So, are you ready to dive in? Let's get started.
Welcome to Deep Leadership. Leadership is a people business. That's the philosophy of your podcast host, John Rennie. As a former Cold War submarine officer who spent 20 plus years leading businesses in corporate America before starting his own manufacturing business, he knows that leadership matters. Are you ready for some real-world actionable advice from John as well as his expert guests?
I'm ready.
The show starts right now.
Welcome to the Deep Leadership Podcast. Today I'm joined by Dr. Ichak Adizes. For more than 40 years, Dr. Adizes has developed and tested and documented the proprietary methodology that bears his name. The Adizes Methodology for Organizational Transformation provides tools for organizations to achieve exceptional results and manage accelerated change without destructive conflict. His books have been translated and read all over the world, and I'm honored to have him on the show to talk about how we as leaders can master the art of change management. So, Dr. Adizes, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really flattered and excited.
I'm honored to meet you, sir, and have you on the show. And there's so much we could talk about, but I thought we would hone in on the idea of change management and really. You've got a book you wrote in 1992, and it's still popular today, and you recently re-released it. It's called Mastering Change, Rapid Change Without Destructive Conflict. So the first question for you is, why did you want to reissue this book out for a new, if you will, a new group of audience and readers?
Because I realized that I'm not a consultant anymore. There was a change in how I view myself. When I wrote Mastering Change, I wrote it as a consultant, and then I had a change in my perceptions of what the hell do I do. See, consultants are like allopathic medical doctors. They know more than the patient. You go to the doctor, he checks you, he decides what the hell you have as a disease, and he gives you a prescription. Same thing with a consultant. Supposedly, they know more than you do, especially if they went to Harvard. And then they look at your problems, and because they know better than you do, they give you a prescription which is called a consulting report. Many years ago, I didn't realize what I was doing, so that's why it took me time to realize what I was doing, and I had to reissue the book. I started as a consulting because I was professor at Columbia, at UCLA, at Stanford, and people asked me to consult. And I would go, analyze the problem, use my expertise as a professor of management, write a report, submit it, collect my fees, and very little happened. And that really got me upset. So what the hell is going on here? I must be a fake. What kind of a professor I am? I give good advice. They say yes. And then when it doesn't happen, or it happens I recommended a racing horse, and they implemented a camel. I mean, what the hell is going on here? And I was really depressed. I was really saying, something is wrong with me. I'm a fake. I'm teaching something which I don't know what I'm teaching about. And then I met a McKinsey guy, and he laughed in my face, and he says, welcome to the club. We have problems of implementation. That's why the consulting industry, many of them burn out after a few years because they just write reports, but don't see the results themselves. The consulting companies today are trying to change to go into implementation, but they don't have the methodology yet. So 50 years ago, not 40 years ago, I gave up my professorship at UCLA and visiting professor, as I said, in many other universities. I gave up my academic career and jumped into the real world to see how do you implement change. Not how do you decide about what to change, but how do you actually make it happen. Because at that time, 50 years ago, I looked at the library and I could not find one book about implementation. I looked at the MBA program, which I think is still true today, 50 years later, and they have all courses about decision making, what you should decide in marketing, what you should decide in finance, but there is no one course how to implement it. And then I realized that the secret of success is not in the decision, it's in the implementation. It's better to have an okay strategy that you implement that have a very sophisticated, incredible strategy that you don't implement or implement badly. So I dedicated my 50 years of my life trying to find out how to implement change, called managing change, rapidly and without destructive conflict. You can do it rapidly, but it creates a tremendous amount of conflict. Or you can do it without conflict, slowly, politically correct. But by that time, the market has changed, and what the hell are you implementing now? Outdated something. So the trick, the complication, the challenge was how to have rapid change without destructive conflict. And I plunged into the real world, and then I realized consulting is not the right approach. What is the right approach is really organizational therapy. And what is the difference? In therapy, the therapist does not tell you what to do, does not claim that he knows more than you do. A therapist asks you questions so that at the end of the session or the program or whatever it is, the therapy, you come to your own conclusions and you take your own responsibility to implement your own conclusions. And I said, that is what companies need. Companies do not need somebody to tell them what to do. Because then there is all kind of political problems. I don't agree with him, yes, I agree with him. And, oh, God, the difficulties of implementation, or what consultants call people that resist change, that are against change, and they undermine change, it becomes a bloodbath. I said, I know they need to do is develop a methodology where I'm reversing the chairs at the table. Instead of the client having the questions, I have the answers. I have the questions, they have to come with the answer. At the end of the process, they say, Dr. Adizes, we know what to do. Get out of the way, you're bothering us and you take away our time. We don't have time for you anymore. In other words, I'm proud of every client I lose.
Interesting. You know, it's interesting you say that, because when I started as my first plant, I was 32 years old, and I thought I had to have all the answers because I was the new plant manager. And what I learned over the course of that 3 years of my first plant was I learned that I had to have the right questions, and I had to be willing to shut up and listen. And because of the expertise, the experience was in the team already. And my job was to just flesh out those ideas and sort of decide on which ones made more sense to implement. And I learned that trick early on.
But the trick here is not so simple, because finding the right questions and the right sequence and how to ask them correctly so that the other person does not feel like you're interrogating, or that the other person does not feel like, what the hell am I paying you for? You know, I'm coming with my own decisions. How to show that you're really adding value, it's not so simple. And as I told me 50 years, and as a matter of fact, I'll tell you, we're still developing. We are still developing, continuously improving. That's why I have 28 books in 36 languages, and hopefully, and I'm telling you, none of them is finished yet. I'm constantly improving. We have a whole video program, hundreds of hours that people can watch videos by subscription. They can watch as much as they want, for as long as they want, pay $65 a month, and they can watch the videos. And they're constantly adding videos. It's like medicine. You're constantly learning new ways and faster ways. And you see, in 1982, it took me 3 years to turn Bank of America around. 3 years. They were losing market share. They were really not in a good shape. And they invited me, how do we turn the company around? So it took me 3 years. Just 4 years ago, I turned the largest bank you can imagine with $15 billion in profits and 250,000 employees in 1 year. What happened? We learned how to make it fast. Like in medicine, you learn. We're constantly learning. And I have an institute in 10 countries in the world, and we are constantly learning cross-cultural. How do you do it in this culture? How do you do it in that culture? What works in this culture, maybe we can put it in this culture and go faster. So we are learning all kinds of tricks, and it's not tricks really, protocols, how to do it right. Whom to invite to the room, for instance. With whom do you work? If you work only with the CEO, it's not good enough. He's going to come with an idea, and those under him that have to implement it are going to say yes, but, and now we are not going to be rapid. So it needs to be participative, integrated process. So that's what I try to tell you. I discovered that I'm really into organizational therapy and not into consulting. That's why I had to rewrite the book.
Interesting. One of the things I notice with change is there's a human nature to resist change and to cling to the status quo. How does your methodology address this thing we have in human nature to embrace what we know and fear what we don't know? That seems to be one of the biggest challenges with change.
John, the truth of the matter is, some people need a small heart attack to change their lifestyle.
Yes.
Or the big heart attack. A small one, Doesn't have to be a heart attack. It has to be something that says, I better change. So, the first step in our methodology is to just give a lecture. How do you change? What are the characteristics of change? To predict changes up front, because there's a life cycle of the organization. It's predictable, like in raising children. Terrible tools that are going to run all over the place. And when they're teenagers, you hate them for a while. Predictable. Organizations have a life cycle too. So we give a lecture about the life cycle organization general. And I have a book, as I told you, 36 languages also. That book gave me 21 honorary doctorates. That's how important it is. And which problems are normal in a company, which problems are abnormal in a company. I don't talk about the company. Theory. What usually happens after that, lecture of 3 hours to top management, has to be top management. They usually say, where are we in the life cycle? Can you help us now? Tell us what's normal, what's abnormal. Say, okay, tell me your problems. And they tell me the problems in a very controlled environment, so there are no accusations, no name calling. Tell me what needs to be improved, not who is guilty. No witch hunt. There's a methodology, very, very strict protocol. So there is no finger pointing and attacks. Very calm, very respectful, very civilized. At the end of these 3 hours, doesn't take more than that. They say, oh my God, you're absolutely, you know what, we need to change. I didn't say that. They said that. We changed some things. Because I asked them a question, which I did with Bank of America 40 years ago. Say, how many of the problems you have in your... By the way, they write it on a piece of paper. I don't even know what they write. Say, write down all the problems you have in the company that need to be solved. No names. And they must be controllable by you in the room, top management. Don't tell me It's raining outside. Tell me we don't have an umbrella because you don't control the rain. Controllable by you in the room. And don't share what you're writing, so be honest. No, if I don't share it and know this is what they write the real problems. Okay? No names. Then you ask them, how many of the problems you had last year? Most. How many of the problems you had 2 years? Most. How many 3 years ago? Quite a lot of them. So, how many of these problems are you going to have 3 years from now? What changes? And let me tell you, if you don't solve them, there are going to be more of them. Usually there is silence in the room. It's called the oh shit experience.
Yes.
Then I asked them, okay, guys, how many of the problems you have on that piece of paper, which I don't know what you have written? I have no idea what you have written. How many of these problems can any individual in the company solve? Just give them the problems and solve it. You have a president here. Mr. President, you're sitting president of the company. You're responsible. We give you all the problems, solve them. They cannot. Now I tell them, I set you up. I set you up. Because I told you that to be controllable by you in the room. Has to be. Not, unpredictable interest rates. That's not your problem. Our problem is we don't have a strategy to deal with unpredictable salary. What's your problem? Not what the problem of the world. But I set you up. It has to be controllable by the room. Which means, if I have a magic pill, and you all agree what to do, how many of these problems can be solved? Or by definition, because I set you up. So what is the problem? Not what you have written. You cannot decide what to do in what sequence. This guy says, that's the problem. No, that's the problem. No, that's the problem. Let's do this. No, let's do that. And when you do it in a sequence, they don't necessarily cooperate. So you cannot solve the problem. You're stuck. Don't know at what sequence to attack the problems and how to work together to solve the problem, which means instead of one manager chasing 10 problems, which is typical, we should have 10 managers chasing one problem at a time in the right sequence. And I promise you, which is true, 50 years of experience. If you follow the protocol I'm going to teach you, I promise you, or don't pay, 40% of the problems you have on that piece of paper will be solved by next year. Minimum.
Wow.
How much is it worth? 40 in the second year. 100 for sure in the third year. Maybe faster, depends on how much you cooperate. But let me tell you something. I'm not going to write a report. I'm not going to tell you how to solve it. Who is going to solve it? Who is going to solve it?
Yeah, the team.
You guys.
Yeah.
My job is to give you tools, tested tools all over the world that you can use to solve your problems rapidly without conflict. How do you like that? Say, we are ready, let's go. That's how we do it. You not tell them you have to change. They beg me to help them change. That's the difference.
One of the things, if you look at like John Kotter's work, he talks about a sense of urgency. You have to create this sense of urgency such that the status quo is dangerous, and you have to go towards a future state. So he
if you don't solve the problems you have on that piece of paper, what's going to happen 3 years from now? Kissinger said, a problem that's not solved is a crisis in making. So look at them and tell them what's going to happen 3 years from now. A crisis in making. So what are we going to do about it? Well, I will tell you what. And then I said, if you get together, we can solve it. You can say it. There's no problem there that cannot be solved. All we need to do is to learn how to work together to solve the problem. And we have the tools, we have the protocols, but here's a difference. You have to dedicate 2 days a month for it. Which is not consulting. Consulting, hire the consultant, they continue working, the consultant does his work, submits a report. I'm going to charge you the most expensive asset you have, time. You cannot send somebody else to do therapy for you. You cannot delegate it. Sorry, you cannot. You have to be there. No, we don't have time. Keep suffering.
We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors.
Leadership skills are like any other skills. You need to practice them to get better at them. Best-selling leadership author John S. Rennie knows this. That's why he's written a new book called You Have the Watch. It's a guided journal for leaders designed to take you through an entire year of leadership training. By the end of the year, you will master 50 of the most important leadership skills. If you want to have a greater impact on the results and people in your organization, go to youhavethewatch.com and pick up your copy today.
This episode is brought to you by Jeremy Clevenger Fitness. As a high-performing leader, you know that leadership isn't about telling people what to do. It's about leading by example. And for most people, the one area that they're lacking when it comes to leading by example is their health and fitness. By improving your health and fitness, every other area of your life improves. But how do you get and stay fit as a busy leader? Well, you do what you've always done. You hire the best person for the job. Don't struggle on your own. Put Jeremy Clevenger on your team. Jeremy will work with you to take your physique, mindset, nutritional habits, and more to the next level with his step-by-step, all-inclusive coaching program. Now, I've worked with Jeremy for the past year, and I'm in the best shape of my life. If you want to step up your game, reach out to Jeremy at apexperformancesystems.com to find out more and get your initial consultation scheduled with him today. This episode is brought to you by the Sasquatch Flag Company. The Sasquatch Flag Company is a family-owned business in New England that builds hand-carved American flags from seasoned white pine. Each flag is hand-built, and each star on the flag is hand-hammered and chiseled. No two flags are alike. They offer a variety of flag designs to honor the police, military, firefighters, dispatchers, and search and rescue personnel, to name a few. These stunning handmade flags look great in an office, a studio, the back porch, or above the fireplace mantle. They make the perfect gift for the veteran, first responder, or patriot in your life. Now, I love these flags, and I've been giving them as gifts for years, and I was a customer long before they became a sponsor of the show. I can't recommend them enough. So if you're looking for that perfect, uniquely American-made gift to give away, or if you want to treat yourself, go to SasquatchFlags.com and get your order in today.
In this methodology, you have your guiding coalition right there. It's your senior management team that sort of identified the problem, right?
I was saying that, like I tell you, in every company back in America, on the spot, they gave me a $1 million contract for 3 years for $3 million to change the bank, and I changed the bank around. Totally changed the bank around. I took Domino Pizza from $150 million to $4 billion. And in his book, The Pizza Tiger, he gives me credit to Adizes. Applied Material, we took from $400 million to $15 billion. Look at my website. Thanks to Dr. Adizes Methodology. A wonderful company, the one for Fiji water, all of this. They went from 12 million to 4 billion, thanks to this methodology. And it's in my website with the name of the president, with the name of the company. So this is not hearsay. Somebody said, no. And the real results. I'm right now in Mexico working with a company. We started at 50 million. Today it's 15 billion in assets, in revenue, but the owner is worth 20 billion. And thanks to this methodology. Now, what is the secret, John? And that's what I want to explain to you. Change is here to stay. I've been here forever. Since the Big Bang. Everything is a system. A human being is a system, a family is a business, a company is a system, a country is a system, the globe is a system. Agree? By definition, a system is composed of subsystems. Like in the business world, you have the marketing subsystem, the sales subsystem, production subsystem, financial subsystem, human resources subsystems, etc. And every subsystem has its own subsystem. When there is change, the subsystems do not change in synchronicity together. Some change faster than others. Marketing changes, they don't change the prices, change this, do this. Very fast. How long does it take to change the sales force? To retrain the sales force, to give them the tools, takes a little bit longer.
Takes a while, yeah.
How long does it take to change the production system if you need to make a change?
That's a lot of work, a lot of money, yeah.
How long does it take to change the accounting information system? You should be long enough, right? How long does it take to change people's culture and attitude?
That can be a long time. Yeah.
So because of that, whenever there is change, take it for granted, there is disintegration. The disintegration is manifested in what we call problems. All problems are manifestations of disintegration caused by change. You have a problem with your car. I'm telling you, something changed, something fell apart. You have a problem in your marriage, something changed, something fell apart. You have a problem in a country, something is changing, something is falling apart. Which means, if change causes disintegration, and disintegration is manifested in problems, how do we solve all problems? Stop change. You can't.
Right.
You can't. That, by the way, some religions try that.
Mm.
All the fanatic religions try to stop change. Not only the Muslims, fanatic Christians too, fanatic Jews too. They want to stop change because there's too much problems. They cannot. It's not going to work. Because you can stop to change yourself, you can stop changing your company, but the world continues. So there is no way you can stop the whole world. You cannot. You try, but you cannot. Some ideologies try to stop change. Very conservative ideologies. So that is a utopian expectation that's not going to happen. So we have no choice, but we have to learn how to manage change. And how do we? If all problems stem from disintegration, what is the solution? Integration. Bring it back together. Realign the subsystems. Marketing went too far. Production is behind. Hold a second. Bring them together. You're constantly aligning the subsystems. Don't allow too big of a disintegration. Going to hurt you. It's going to bite you. So our job is to realign the companies all the time. Realign. And there's a whole methodology how to do that. We don't do it. They do it. Give them the tools. Monitor how they do it. At the end of the process, they even complain, why the hell did we pay you so much? We did it all. I said, it was the whole trick.
Yeah.
That's the whole trick for you to do the work, because then you take responsibility and you are proud for what you do, and they really are. All the companies we work with eventually get a prize, a company of the year, the entrepreneur of the year, the best company to work for. There is a reason why they're managed well. So that is the trick.
So the idea of integration, so it makes sense, right? The problem is the disintegration creates problems, which is a manifestation of that. But then what does it mean to reintegrate? So explain what that means, or how it looks practically.
Sure. There are 4 variables that you have to work on. You need to develop common vision and values. So if somebody doesn't share your vision, let him go. Somebody doesn't share your values, let him go. We have to be together. Where are we going? How do we get there? Values. Vision and values. After that, is organization structure correct? To me, it is the most important variable that companies ignore. They do organization charts on a goddamn napkin during dinner, Totally wrong. Structure. Why structure is so important? Because it tells you how the power of the company is distributed. And you're from the Navy. If one of the right engine is stronger than the left engine, you can tell which way the boat is going, right?
Right.
So realignment is realigning the engines. For instance, in an aging company, it becomes bureaucratic, slow-moving. The power is in accounting and legal and
HR.
HR.
Yeah.
Okay. Legal and accounting and finance dominate. The company now, why? Because the people in finance make more profits by cutting costs.
Right.
And sometimes they cut a foot off so the numbers look good. But the company cannot move.
Yeah.
Okay? So I need to remove the... In a growing company, go running around, administration is weak. They don't even listen to the financial guys. Don't bother us. We have too many opportunities. Now you have to strengthen the administrative structure. See, there must be balance between flexibility and controllability. Too much control, no good. Too much flexibility, no good. So look at the organization structure and the power structure, and how do you realign the power structure by restructuring the company correctly. Structure the companies to be correctly. Example, never in a big company, I'm not talking about a startup, small company, have vice president for sales and marketing. Why? Sales is short-term oriented, marketing is long-term oriented. What wins? Short-term. What does marketing do? Serving sales. I call them transvestites. They look like a woman, take the pencil, it's a man. You know, they're not marketing. They're not doing marketing. They're doing sales support.
Yeah.
They're doing sales support. Never put R&D and production together or engineering and production together. They will end up doing maintenance. They're not going to do new product development or new production engineering. So you have to split. So there's a whole theory behind it. People have to read my book or watch my videos. How do you structure the company correctly? How do you structure the company correctly? Structure means the power structure, the responsibility structure, the reward structure, the flow of information structure. It's a whole architectural design. And when you finish that, wow, the company is aligned. So we have common vision, values, the right organizational structure. Then you need disciplined decision-making process. Because the entrepreneurial guy interrupts everybody, talks all the time, and all the others have to clap hands and says, bravo, what the fuck did he say? Okay? The administrative types don't say a word. They look like they have hemorrhoids, and they're always like this, upset. And then after the meeting, say it was a bullshit meeting. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. There is no disciplined decision-making process. So we teach a disciplined decision-making process. What does it mean? There is no integration without mutual trust and respect.
I like that.
Mutual trust and respect, which starts with how you run a meeting. For instance, people have to be on time. People that are late pay penalty that goes to philanthropy. Why? Because you make us all wait. You think you're more important than we are. What the hell is the respect here? Why do you think you're more important? Oh, I was on a call. We have calls too. Then we also end on time. Why? Because maybe we have something else to do. So there is a respect. We don't interrupt each other. We listen till the end. There's a whole protocol how to run meetings so they run on mutual trust and respect.
Love
and then number 4, the variable number 4, who do you hire to work for you? You want people that command and grant respect and trust. You don't want a leader that people don't trust. From the military, right? You don't want your soldiers shooting the commander, right, from the back. You want people that go after me because we trust you. And when he says, let's go left, we respect you, we go left. You want commanders, you want leaders that command and grant trust and respect. And what do you do with an engineer genius that is indispensable? You cannot fire him or her, but he's an asshole. He doesn't work with people. He interrupts people, believes that he is God, but we need him. What do we do with him? You put him in a cage, and you treat him like a monkey. Anytime you need information, you give him a banana, get the information, but don't let him out in the corridor. He's not a leader. He's not a manager, period. What makes a good leader is not what you know, is what you are. It's better to hire somebody who is teaching to know than hire somebody who knows and teach him to be. So if you have the right people, the right decision-making process, the right structure, with common vision and values, there we go.
That is so good to hear. Of all these things, you talked about all the companies you've helped and all the growth that they've had. And what's interesting is you come back to some basic things like mutual trust and respect. Yeah, and that's powerful because those are great leadership principles. And I like the fact that you said, take that engineering genius that you have and put him in the corner because he shouldn't be leading people or she shouldn't be leading.
Give him a title, Chief Technology Officer, Emperor of the Third Order, I don't care. Give him a nice salary. Don't let him manage people.
Yeah, absolutely. This is all really good. I think, obviously, I want to encourage listeners to dive into this particular book, Mastering Change. Is going to cover a lot more detail that we cover here. Plus the fact that you've got 28 other books or 27 other books in 36 languages. There's plenty of resource that you have within your organization.
To my website, because we have online videos. We have tests to see the personality styles and if they match the job they do. We have a lot of training and a lot of, it's not consulting, transformation. We go to a company and we help transform a company to tremendous success. You can see it, our testimonials. So it is books and videos and materials and tests and quite a lot. And we have it in 10 countries, offices in 10 countries. So, and our associates, we take them between almost 3 years to train them and certify them. So this is the profession. Right now we are opening in the university in Israel with a BA and master in this methodology called Adizes Organizational Therapy. So there is a profession here. This is not just another consultant who can speak fast and tell you how smart he is. No. This is a profession. It's a profession with ethical standards, with certification criteria, and it takes a lot of time to train people to do it.
Oh, I'm sure. Absolutely. Dr. Adizes, how can people find out more about your company and all the things you offer?
If you give them on the Adizes, A like in Adam, D like in David, I, Z like in zebra, E like in Edward, S like in Sam. Adizes.com, a website, you will find everything, and I look forward people to join. Especially, I'm looking people to sign on my blog because I write a blog every Friday about management, insights about management. Like this Friday, tomorrow, I'm having a blog. How to know whether the company is managed well. You know how?
No, I'm interested to hear. I have a theory, but I'll like to hear your answer.
They're going to tell you, look at the balance sheet. Look at the profit and loss. True. I tell you what they look at. Are the people laughing?
Love it. I love it. I tell people, because I get the question, I teach leadership courses in colleges, and I get the question often, how do I know if I'm a good leader? And I say, if everyone gets quiet when you walk up, you've got work to do. And it's a similar answer. Interesting. Yeah.
By the way, same thing for a marriage. Look at marriage. Don't laugh. They see it very seriously. They have a problem. But you see a marriage that is laughing, she's laughing, he's laughing. They have a problem, they laugh it. That's a good marriage, man. Tell me, and the same thing with a guy who is all the time serious. He has hemorrhoids. He's all the time, everything is a problem. What the hell? You want a guy that he says, well, let's do something about it. What do we do about it? Laughter. And with my blog, I say laughter and crying are the same thing. The two sides of the same coin.
Yes.
Because laughter, you laugh because you're scared. Look at every joke. There's an ingredient of thing that scares. That's why you're laughing.
Right.
Crying. So now the question is, when you have a problem, do you laugh it off or do you cry it? When you laugh it, it creates energy. When you cry, it depletes energy. So people that make subordinates cry without tears, but they cry, are bad managers. You want a manager that uplifts people, and laughter is one sign.
I love this. This is fantastic. Listeners, I really do encourage you to check out all the resources. We'll put links in the show notes for all the resources. Dr. Adizes, this has been fantastic. I feel like we just began to have a conversation, and there's so much here. And I really, for listeners, you need to dig into his resources, dig into the stuff that he's doing, because it's fantastic. And he obviously 5 decades of experience here. So
you should know, Ron, because you're a military guy. I taught for the Israeli Defense College for all the generals of Israel. So this applies to the military as well.
Absolutely.
How do you build mutual trust and respect? Because if there is no mutual trust and respect, go home, man. We don't need you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Sure. Bye-bye. Send us a copy, please.
Will do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's it for today. Thank you for listening to Deep Leadership. If you like this podcast, please subscribe and share so we can continue to build a world with better bosses. Until next time, this is John Rennie saying take care and lead well.
Thank you for listening to Deep Leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all you do.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and updates, please visit our website at www.deepleadershippodcast.com or johnsrennie.com. Until next time, take care.
Hey, what's happening out there, everybody? This is Lawrence Ross, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about my podcast, The Lawrence Ross Show.
Egomaniac.
It's a 2-hour weekly exploration into my mind. I also do sketches, celebrity impersonations.
You're out of order!
And I also do song parodies. Not too shabby for a blind guy.
Not only are you visually impaired, but you are geographically impaired.
New episodes are released every Friday. Check it out on your favorite podcasting platform or listen to it here on Society 13 on Electrocast.
Welcome to Ringside with Ray and Prince. My name is Ray Leonard Jr.
Oh, is that the set? No, that's just my dad.
My name is Prince Daniels Jr.
Daniels again with a big home touchdown.
On this show, we come to humanize
athletes, entertainers, business executives. We're going to see what makes them tick.
Tuesdays, 10 a.m. Pacific time on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll see you there. Peace and power.
Electrocast.